In an era defined by disposable goods, fast fashion, and two-day delivery, it's easy to forget that not so long ago, the act of making something was considered sacred. Objects were not just produced, they were crafted. Products were not just functional, they were imbued with a spirit of care, attention, and even soul. Nowhere is that spirit more alive today than in Japan, where the philosophy of monozukuri, literally the making of things, remains a cultural cornerstone. In a world consumed by speed and scale, monozukuri is a quiet, persistent rebuttal. It reminds us that the way we make things shapes not only our economies, but our values, our environment, and our very sense of self. What is monozukuri? At first glance, monozukuri might seem like a simple word, a synonym for manufacturing or craftsmanship, but its deeper meaning is uniquely Japanese. It speaks to a fusion of skill, spirit, and philosophy. It's the idea that true craftsmanship involves not just technical precision, but a deep respect for materials, process, and purpose. It is as much about character as it is about craft. Monozukuri isn't confined to the realm of traditional artisans, though Japan has no shortage of those. From Kyoto's centuries-old textile workshops to the knife makers of Sakai and the potters of Mashiko. It extends to car manufacturers like Toyota and watchmakers like Grand Seiko, to the engineers designing microchips and the chefs preparing kaiseki cuisine. The same devotion to quality, discipline, and continuous improvement, known as kaizen, runs like a thread through every tier of Japanese industry. At the heart of it all is a refusal to cut corners, a belief that how something is made is just as important as what is made. This ethic is increasingly rare in today's consumer culture. We live in a world where planned obsolescence is a feature, not a bug, where quantity often trumps quality, where the average smartphone is replaced every 2 to 3 years, and fashion brands release dozens of new seasons annually, much of it destined for landfill within months. Japan is not immune to these pressures, but its cultural resistance to disposability remains striking. In Japan, broken objects are often repaired rather than replaced, not just for utility, but as a form of appreciation. Take kintsugi, the centuries-old art of mending cracked pottery with lacquer and gold, which transforms damage into beauty and imperfection into narrative. It's a metaphor for resilience, but also for a culture that values the life of things. It's this ethos that allows a country like Japan, which imports the vast majority of its raw materials, to still produce goods of remarkable longevity, elegance, and restraint. Why does this matter today, when we face climate breakdown, supply chain volatility, and a global economy built on extraction and speed? Because monozukuri offers an alternative path, not backward-looking nostalgia, but forward-looking sustainability. It demonstrates that economies can be rooted in pride of work, durability, and respect for resources. That beauty can lie not in newness, but in endurance. Imagine if more of the global economy adopted these principles. What if we designed smartphones to last a decade, clothing to age gracefully, furniture to be repaired, not discarded? Monozukuri shows that such values are not only possible, they can be commercially viable, emotionally satisfying, and deeply modern. There are already signs that the world is turning, slowly, in this direction. The right to repair movement is gaining traction. Consumers, weary of cheap goods and relentless consumption, are rediscovering the allure of the well-made and the handcrafted. Japanese brands like Muji, Uniqlo, and even high-end audio manufacturers like Technics thrive internationally, not just for their aesthetics, but for their clarity of purpose and quality of build. But perhaps the most important lesson monozukuri offers is about more than products. It's about people. In Japan, the craftsman is not just a laborer, but a practitioner of a calling. Apprenticeships can last a decade or more. Mastery is pursued not for fame or fortune, but because excellence itself is a worthy goal. This quiet discipline, this attention to the smallest detail, reflects a moral posture as much as a technical one. It speaks to humility, patience, and a willingness to work in service of something beyond the self. That may sound quaint in the age of algorithms and AI, but in fact, it's more relevant than ever. As automation spreads and digital tools proliferate, what remains distinctly human is not speed or scale, but sensibility, the ability to make with care, to design with empathy, to preserve meaning in materials. In this sense, monozukuri is not just about how we make things, it's about how we live. And in a world eager to move fast and break things, perhaps slowing down and building well is the most radical act of all. Western economies don't need to become Japan to learn from it. But in an era when people are increasingly alienated from their labor, their purchases, and the planet, Japan's enduring culture of craftsmanship offers something vital, a way to reconnect. A reminder that what we make reflects who we are, and that when we make with care, we live with care. The quiet dignity of monozukuri may never trend on social media, but as the world reckons with the costs of throwaway culture, it may yet become one of our most powerful tools for repair, of our economy, our environment, and perhaps even ourselves.